Hi, hello, I'm Sam Harrison. I read, review, and discuss fantasy and science fiction books. Today we have a discussion on both fantasy and science fiction books. We'll be talking about my March 2024 TBR. For those of you who are uninitiated, this is the TBR to be read list. Normally, I schedule in 6 books a month and try and work my way through them. In January, 2 of those books basically overflowed into February. February then being the shortest month of the year, I only managed to get through, I'm almost finished with my 4th book for February. But what that means for you guys is one of the books from February, I think I'm going to DNF. And 2 of the books that are left from February, I am going to push over into March, and they'll join the March TBR. Now, the reason why I scheduled 6 books, but you can see we were talking about 7 for February, is that I had completely forgotten that I needed to do a review of Blood Rain by Ezra Payne, which I am almost finished with, but not finished enough. So I won't probably nail that down this month. But for February, I've got quite a February. But for February, I had a fantastic month of books scheduled, and I actually don't want to leave those behind. So the one thing that isn't going to come forward with me from February into March is Empire of the Vampire. So I've been mostly listening to this one via Audible on audiobook, and I have to say, it's just not grabbing me. I think that there's a lot of potential in the book, but it's just taking a long time to get started. I don't really like the way that the framing device is being used, and like all the skipping around that's happened so far. There's been like a big skip of time. And I just kind of wanted to know what happened in that time skip. I probably should trust the author to tell me about that. But at the moment, I would just rather be reading other books. So I am going to be shelving that one. It may be that I come back to it later in the year. And so many people have said it's good that I'm tempted to come back to it. However, just as many people have told me that they thought it was terrible and DNF'd it, or finished it and wish they hadn't. So because the opinion on that is so split, and because I'm having like a pretty bang average 3 out of 5 time, I don't really want to continue this book for the time being. So I'm going to be shelving that one. Most likely a DNF, but I think I might give it another chance in a few months' time, maybe. We'll see. I'm not particularly married to finishing this book so far. Let's actually talk about March. So one of the things that I've talked about recently is, so this is a bit of a channel update, actually. So I'm no longer going to be scheduling 6 definitive books per month. I'm going to be looking at scheduling roughly 1 book a week, and then I will be adding like a bonus list. So essentially, you'll still know the stuff that I'm kind of planning on reading, but I have several ongoing read-alongs or ongoing series that I'd like to continue with. So I just want to like focus on those a little bit, and then add in the extra interesting stuff on top. I say interesting as if the main series that I'm reading aren't amazing. A lot of the reason for changing down to this 4 books a month schedule with bonuses if I finish them, and the bonuses will also probably go in towards making up the next month's TBR. But the reason for switching to this style and this method of TBR planning is honestly because over the last 2 or 3 months of having the channel and really focusing on booktube and reading, a lot of my other hobbies have fallen away, and the one that's quite important to me is my health and fitness. which has massively suffered over the last 2 or 3 months. So I'm thinking now the weather's looking nice, they've got bright blue skies out the window, and it's starting to warm up a bit. I need to get back on my long distance running. And so because of that, I'm going to lose about an hour a day of reading time. Obviously, I will be using audiobooks for that, but I read 2 or 3 times faster than I can listen to an audiobook comfortably. So we want to step back the schedule a little bit, but allow for expansion, if that makes sense. Any week, I know I've talked about this before, but any week where I don't have 3 videos for Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday ready to go, I will be swapping out one of those days for an extra chapter of The Wandering Inn, which would normally post on Thursdays. Or I am recording tons of full spoiler discussions over the next time. I've got one with Matt about The Great Hunt on Wednesday, and then I'm recording one with Ross once their kind of house movers all settled down. So you'll see lots of full spoiler discussions, lots of more kind of, I don't want to say non-review content, but I think my channel is really heavily on reviews, and I'm always going to review everything that I read. However, I think that scheduling like 8+ videos per month on reviews and spoiler discussions isn't super doable in some cases, because it means I have a lot of slots to fill with stuff that, with like spoiler discussions, and you know, the spoiler discussions relies on me having friends who want to do that with me. So that's the basic channel update. Moving swiftly on to what I'm actually going to be reading next month. So I only have 2 of these books physically. That's a lie. I have 3 of them. I'm just going to go and get that book. Okay, so first book that I'm going to be reading in March. And if you've seen my January and my February TBR, pretty certain you'll be able to guess what this one is. It's The Dragon Reborn. I was about to say The Dragon Republic. It's The Dragon Reborn by Robert Jordan, 3rd book of the Wheel of Time. So I am absolutely loving Wheel of Time. I thought that it would be a book series that I'd be like, not sure about this, you know, that I didn't know whether this series was for me at all. So, in fact, Matt and I, when we talked about doing our read-along together, we actually only committed to reading the first 3 books together. But unless this book absolutely shits the bed, I will be continuing on, and I'll be reading book 4 next month, April. But I'm absolutely loving The Wheel of Time. I don't know what happens in this book. I don't particularly want to know, and until I read it, obviously. But I'm genuinely really excited to read this. And as we've discussed multiple times, whenever I pick up this paperback, God, look how floppy that is. Look at it, delicious. Look, it even stays open. No UK paperbacks stay open when you flop them open. So really excited to read this one. This physical copy is lovely, and I will be reading this copy. I also own it on Kindle and Audible, but most of my reading will probably be out of this bad boy. So what I'm going to read next after that. Now, you guys know that I like to do fantasy sci-fi. So I like to go back and forth between the 2 genres. That keeps my reading fresh, keeps me in the mood for, you know, the exciting sci-fi and fantasy stuff that's coming up. So next, after The Dragon Reborn, we have Morning Star by Pierce Brown. This is the end of the first Red Rising trilogy. Once Morning Star is over, Pierce Brown switches to a much longer books, and also they become multiple POV. I would really love to get to that point. My plan for Red Rising currently is to read Morning Star next month, and then probably take a break on Red Rising, unless I am desperate to go into the next series, which I think starts with Iron Gold. I own all the books, so I own all 6 books. But I think that for the next book, it's likely I will probably take a month or two break, because I don't want my channel to just be sequels constantly. I would like to try new things and to read new series. I will be hopefully finishing 2 trilogies in March. And speaking of finishing another trilogy, the next book that I'm going to be reading is one I don't have physically, which is The Trials of Empire by Richard Swan. So, Trials of Empire is a fantasy kind of horror-y political thriller murder mystery. It's kind of a lot of things, and the book came out at the beginning of February. I scheduled it for my February reading, but just kept putting it back. Originally because I'd requested a physical review copy, and I was like, maybe I'll get selected, maybe I won't. I've not heard back anything yet, so I'm just going to probably get it from the library, and then if I do get selected, excellent. I do already have a Kindle copy of it, so I've got a copy to read, but I do like to have a physical as well. And the audiobooks for this one have been so good, I will definitely be picking up the audiobook. This one will probably be coming on a lot of runs with me and coming to the gym with me, because it's really absorbing and just a fantastic audio experience. So Trials of Empire is going to be the second fantasy read of the month. After Trials of Empire, I am going to be going into the next Hybrid Helix book. So in January, I read Return of the Griffin and had a great time. The next one is Blood Reunion. I have been, because my reading this month has been quite fractured and delayed, and kind of the end of this month, the beginning of the month, I had still 2 books hanging over. The end of the month, I have been distracted, really, honestly, and I've not read that much. I wouldn't say I'm in a reading slump at all, because the reading I'm doing, I'm really enjoying. But I am just kind of being drawn to other hobbies, which isn't, anything particularly bad in any way. But I think reading's taken a backseat over the last week. I just want to get back on track. And Blood Reunion was the 3rd Hybrid Helix book. It was on my schedule for February, and it was not one of the ones that I decided I could leave behind. In fact, both of the books that I'm not going to make it through in February have been added to the March TBR. So if you want to hear me talk about these books over and over and over, I've already done it in February. But that is the last of the kind of compulsory reads or planned reads. So those 4 I will definitely get done in March. But on top of those, I have got some might be read, some MBR, which I think is how I've seen a few people refer to this kind of additional section of the list. So I think the big one for me is I do want to continue reading Sun Eater. It is likely that I will be reading the next 2 things in the Sun Eater series, which are actually both which are not novels. So the next one is Queen Amid Ashes, which is a novella, and also Tales of the Sun Eater Volume 1. So I've got Tales of the Sun Eater already because it's on Kindle Unlimited. So the next thing that I read from the Sun Eater world is likely going to be, I say is likely going to be, the next thing I read from the Sun Eater world is going to be Tales of the Sun Eater and Queen Amid Ashes. Whilst this is on the might be read for next month, I'm pretty certain that I will read both of these because I've been really enjoying the Sun Eater books via Audible and an audiobook. And both of these, if they have audiobooks, which I haven't actually looked up, both of these, if they have audiobooks, will probably also be coming to the gym with me, be coming on runs with me. So I'm looking forward to getting back into the Sun Eater world. I don't know if I loved Howling Dark as much as everybody else, However, I'm not at the stage where I'm like, oh, I'm not seeing what everyone's seeing in this series, I might DNF it from here. I do continuously want to go on. I want to see what happens next. I want to see how Hadrian eats the sun. So yeah, really looking forward to this. Also, I think that this Tales of the Sun Eater is the best cover in the Sun Eater. I'm just looking at the screen to see, make sure that I'm holding it. Yeah, okay, I'm not holding it straight. There you go. So I think this is honestly the best cover in the series. This is a Tales of the Sun Eater is a short story collection. I believe it has 7 short stories, and it's not particularly long. So I'm merging it together with Queen Amid Ashes to make like one full book together, because they're both under 200 pages, I think. So I'll be reading both of those. As I said, likely that these are the 2 from the Might Be Read pile that actually get read. Now, you'll have noticed that so far what we've discussed has actually been pretty sci-fi heavy. So to counteract that, I have added another fantasy, and this is something that I was sent by a viewer earlier this year. I was sent the whole trilogy of books. I think it was by Jake. So thank you, Jake, for that. I am going to be reading Promise of Blood, possibly in March. So this is another, it's pretty floppy, or it could be floppier. This is another book that I actually haven't mentioned before. So this is the first time I've really talked about it in depth on the channel. So Promise of Blood is the first book in the Powder Mage trilogy. This is by Brian McClellan. Brian McClellan was a Brandon Sanderson protege, student, something or other. And Sanderson absolutely loved this series and really recommended it. It's also been recommended by like a ton of authors that I really like. And a few, not many booktubers have actually talked in depth about this one, but I did watch a really nice interview with Brian McClellan on Two to Ramble. He just seems like a nice bloke. This book series looks really excellent. It has some elements that I have been considering for my own novel series, so I kind of want to read it to like preclude that and make sure that I'm not like doing a carbon copy. I obviously wouldn't be, because mine is very different. It's very, very fantastical, whereas this is quite grounded and grimdark, I think. But I don't really know all that much, apart from that it's kind of like a flintlock fantasy, and they use gunpowder to fuel their magic. So excited to read this one. This is currently so this is probably unlikely to get read in March. As I say, it's on the Might Be Read, and I think that if it doesn't get read in March, this will go into the Red Rising slot in April. So I'm going to continue to read fantasy and sci-fi back to back, but this will I will have to figure out how I'm going to do that in April, because I have like 5 fantasy books that I know I want to read that month, and well, you know, only really planning a TBR of 4 and an MBR of 2 more. So yeah, we'll have fun. We'll try and do it. Promise of Blood, really looking forward to it. I have added one more thing to the Might Be Read, and this is based on a ton of recommendations, specifically from Mayor on Andrew Watson's Discord, which is Will of the Many. I also watched Ross from Hardy's Books and his review of it and how he'd absolutely loved it. And I feel like, based on comparisons to Red Rising, and also with the sequel book coming this year, that I want to read Will of the Many. I believe the sequel book is called The Strength of the Few, and I think it's due out in like May or June time, although we haven't been told that, and it's getting close to that time if we were going to be told that. So what I'm going to say for now is, at the very bottom of my Might Be Read pile is The Will of the Many, until they announce the release date for Strength of the Few. And once they do that, then I will probably push it to the top of the TBR. Well, under Wheel of Time because I'm really loving Wheel of Time right now. Anyway, I hope that TBR is of interest to you, and I hope that the channel update kind of makes sense. While I have technically discussed 8 books, 2 of them are very short. 2 of them are like you could read the whole thing in a day without really trying hard, and I think that several of them I will also be listening to a lot of it via audio while doing the exercise, which I want to get back doing more of. I've not run an ultra marathon for 2 years now, and I feel like it might be time to lace the shoes back up and train back up for one. So I'll probably also talk about running and reading and how I listen to audiobooks while I run. And I actually have a great video idea about running, but it might take a bit of work. So we will come back to that because I don't know when or if I'll be able to do it. Anyway, thanks so much for watching. If you have read any of these books, and I will put them on the screen here or something, drop a comment, let me know what you think. If there are any in the might be read that you think I should prioritize for the to be read. I cannot promise I'll change my schedule because I am pretty set on the 4 that I've picked. But if you've got recommendations from the might be read that I should prioritize, then please do let me know. Thanks so much for watching this video. As always, please do leave that comment and let me know what you think about my books, and subscribe, and I will see you tomorrow for the slightly delayed review of Blood Rain by Ezra Payne, as unfortunately I just haven't had time to finish it today. So I'll see you tomorrow.